Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the second episode in our guide to fat loss. I'm a little bit under the weather today, so I apologize for the sniffling and like the weird sounding voice, but I just wanted to get this video out there, get this second episode out there, and talk to you guys about macronutrients and what exactly they are. I do get a lot of questions about macros. I talk a lot about macros, but not everybody is super clear on what a macro even is. So today I'm gonna break down for you guys exactly what and where to find and why you would want to consume a carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have post notifications turned on, and give this video a thumbs up if you love food. And we'll go ahead and get started now. Let's go ahead and start with carbs. So carbs are just chains of sugar. So whether you're eating literally table sugar, like the white sugar you would put into homemade cookies, or you're eating a piece of bread, or you're eating a sweet potato, all of that is gonna get broken down in the body into its pieces of sugar. There are multiple different chains of sugar. You have monosaccharides, disaccharides. That's a little bit more complicated than we really need to get today. But every carb is ultimately just a chain of sugar, and so when consumed and when put into the body, it will just turn into sugar. It doesn't matter if you're having a sweet potato or sugar, it is all sugar at the end of the day or once it gets inside the body. The main difference between consuming a sweet potato or having literally just table sugar is the time it takes your body to break down. So maybe you've heard of like slow digesting versus fast digesting carbs. Table sugar in this example would be a fast digesting carb because it's already pretty much just sugar, whereas your sweet potato has to be broken down, so it's going to take the body a little bit longer to do that, making it a slower digesting carb and likely keeping you fuller longer. Another difference between the sweet potato and the table sugar is fiber. Carbohydrate sources are where we're going to find fiber. In a sweet potato, you're gonna get a lot more fiber than you are in just plain table sugar, which is gonna have no fiber at all. Fiber is good for our digestive health. It keeps things moving smoothly through the body and out of the body, and it helps our gut bacteria stay nice and clean because it gets rid of things that we don't need inside of us. Carbohydrates are good pre and post-workout. Pre-workout to give you energy to make it through the workout, post-workout to aid in recovery, and for many people, carbohydrates at night are good as they help us sleep a little sounder. All grains, pastas, and potatoes are carbohydrates, as well as breads and cereals. You're also going to find carbohydrates in starchier vegetables like peas or carrots. Let's go ahead and move on to protein. So protein is gonna be one of the most important macronutrients we talk about when it concerns fat loss, because as we talked about in episode 1, consuming an adequate amount of protein while in a fat loss phase or while in a caloric deficit, same thing, is gonna ensure that we hold on to the most amount of muscle mass as possible. And so we're not just losing weight, we're losing actual fat, which means we're not losing muscle. Many of us are concerned with minimizing protein loss and maintaining as much muscle as possible while dieting, because muscle is what gives the body shape and gives us the curves that a lot of us are working really hard for in the gym. So if we were just losing weight and we weren't concerned with whether it was fat or it was muscle, we'd lose a lot of shape that a lot of us are working really hard for, and that would mean that our time spent in the gym would be all for naught. Our muscles are literally made up of protein. Carbohydrates and protein combined post-workout will help in protein synthesis, which is just like regrowing the muscle that was torn down, broken down during exercise, and helps us gain muscle when we're not in a deficit and maintain muscle when we are in a deficit. High protein diets have been shown to improve satiety, or at least be better at keeping you fuller than low protein diets. So if you are in a fat loss phase or eating at a caloric deficit, making sure that you have protein isn't just good for maintaining muscle mass, it's also good for helping you adhere to the caloric deficit that is necessary to lose fat. Protein should probably be consumed at all meals, but most definitely should be consumed post-workout for that muscle resynthesis. Protein can be found in meat as well as just all animal products, so eggs would also be a good source of protein. There is some protein in peanut butter, but peanut butter is actually a fat source, not a protein source. So the calories you would have to consume in order to get adequate protein from something like peanut butter would probably take you out of a caloric deficit. Milk also contains protein, as well as things like yogurt or cheese, so dairy products are also a source of protein. All right, and lastly, we're on to fat. Fat is best for keeping our hormone levels regulated. It's also been shown to be very satiating, which means fat keeps us full. That's not necessarily true for everyone, and for myself, I don't find that to be true because I'm much more of a volume eater, so I need to be able to see food on my plate to feel full. And because fat comes in at 9 calories per gram, which is over twice as many calories per gram as either carbohydrates or protein, it is gonna be much smaller in volume. But if you're the sort of person who doesn't mind low volume eating, then eating fat may be the key for keeping you full, which is beneficial in a fat loss and caloric deficit. Because fat plays a very important role in our hormones, especially for females, fat should never be completely eliminated from the diet, and you should always be eating at a minimum 10% of your body weight in grams of fat. So using myself as an example, I'm about 150 pounds. I should never be eating less than 15 grams of fat per day, and that is a really low amount, so should definitely be above that. Because fat has 9 calories per gram, it's a lot slower digested than either carbohydrates or protein. And so because of this, we don't need to consume fat pre-workout. Post-workout, we don't need to consume fat either because it doesn't play any direct role in muscle protein synthesis, not like carbohydrates or protein do. It does, however, keep us from going into a catabolic state at night, and so for a lot of us, it's gonna be beneficial to consume most of our fat at nighttime. Obviously, it's gonna be a little bit different if you work out at night, then you would probably wanna consume most of your fat in the morning, but you might consider that your last meal of the day have a little bit of fat in it, even if you do work out at night, just to keep you full and your muscles with energy throughout the night. Sources of fat include nuts and their butter, so like almonds and almond butter are both fat sources, oils, dairy products, olives, and avocados. All 3 of the macronutrients play their own specific role in our diet, and so it's not necessary to completely remove any single macronutrient in order to lose weight. If we completely took out carbs, we're gonna be a lot lower on energy, and we're not going to recover from exercise as easily as if we did include carbohydrates in our diet. Protein is really important because, as I've stated a million times, it helps us maintain our muscle mass while in a caloric deficit. If we were to take protein out of our diet, we would not only lose our muscle mass, but we would get a lot sicker a lot more often, especially things like strep throat. Fat plays a huge hormonal role, and so for that reason alone should not be completely taken out of your diet. Many foods are a mixture of at least 2 macronutrients. For instance, the peanut butter that I talked about earlier is a fat and a protein. Also, actually, peanut butter contains some carbs, so that's an example of a food that is all 3 macronutrients in one. None of the macronutrients on their own inherently causes fat gain, and none of the macronutrients alone are responsible for you being overweight or having a higher body fat than you'd like to have. The only way we gain weight is in a caloric surplus, and if you are in a fat loss phase, including carbohydrates, protein, and or fat, it does not matter, you will lose weight. The distribution of those, especially protein, may play a role in body composition, but it will not play a role in whether or not you are losing weight. It's also important that you find a way of eating that is sustainable for you. So if taking out carbs, completely eliminating carbs from your diet is not realistic or sustainable, then you're likely going to end up binging and not adhering to the caloric deficit necessary to lose fat, and so you would be much better off just including carbohydrates in your diet. That's gonna wrap it up for me today though. I hope this video was helpful and informative. If you would like any more information on the specific macronutrients, I would love to give it to you guys, so just comment down below. If there are any other topics you would like me to cover, comment down below and let me know, because this is a guide to fat loss. I'm helping you create your own sustainable diet plan so you can lose weight forever and not have to pay tons and tons of dollars for someone else's program that's not gonna work and doesn't consider who you are and the types of foods that you like to eat. I also really hope you guys understand that there is no specific or particular food or macronutrient that you absolutely have to eliminate from your diet in order to be successful with fat loss. You can eat whatever foods you want. As long as you are in a caloric deficit, you will lose weight. And if you are making sure that you get in your protein needs, then you will lose fat and maintain muscle while losing weight. Like this video if this was informative for you guys, subscribe to the channel, turn post notifications on, and I will see you guys on Monday.